Hey everyone, welcome back to another recap podcast from SNXweave, where we give quick weekly recaps of news and important updates from the previous week from the Spartan Council and core contributors, as well as discuss what the Grants Council and ambassadors are up to, so let's get started. Synthetics direct integrations have gone live. This SIP went out on the Sahel release and allows governance to drive new integrators to the Synthetics ecosystem, where they can now pass lower fees and more onto their users. The benefits for Synthetics include more competitive offerings, better aligned incentives for integrators, and deeper control of fees. The 1-inch integration should now shortly follow, as the SIP was presented last week. Caleb explained that SIP 288 allows there to be certain addresses that have different parameters from the standard ones. 1-inch will be one of these. And there are 4 important things to consider here. Which addresses can have different parameters, which Uniswap pools would be used to get the price, what the max volume per block would be, and what the fee would be. As for V3, Noah said the full deployment of the core systems for V3 is on testnet right now, so the main focus is just polishing that off, getting it prepared for audit, and making sure it's feature complete. Expect more gov calls about V3 in the coming weeks as well, as the CCs want to encourage more community discussion about it. He added that draft SIPs have been put up for how cross-chain and spot markets are going to be handled in V3, and they hope to have something soon for perps. Basically, there will be a plan for covering the full feature set for V2X in V3. And speaking of perps, 2 of the 3 perps V2 SIPs are in audit, and implementation of the third SIP, 279, is being wrapped up. The goal is to have this on testnet this week. Staking V2 is also being tweaked for testnet, as the new interface has been released internally for testing. Keep an eye out here for leaks. Towards the end of the call, the Spartan Council had a discussion about the Pith SIP, and some of the council members voiced their stances. Bert was waiting for the Chainlink call last week to gather any additional information, and was wondering how much time would actually be gained by going with Pith. Nana was on the fence, and KSET emphasized that integrating Pith wouldn't be a vote against Chainlink. Adam was leaning towards a begrudging yes, despite initial reservations about Pith, and Ethernaut thinks this SIP is in line with the V3 philosophy. Fee thinks this is an improvement over on-chain oracles, but also echoed that Chainlink's solution is tailored specifically for synthetics. The vote for Pith closed a couple of days ago, and the SIP passed with 5 votes in favor and 1 against. Lastly, there were a couple more SIP presentations after the sync last week. SIP 287 to extend the epochs to 4 months, and SIP 286 to reduce the election periods, both of which were presented by Terabellis. He explained that the rapid turnaround of councils might be hindering some productivity, and that 4 months would create more stability that can be useful in ongoing partner relationships, establishment of integrations, and just general long-term ordered running of the protocol. If voted in, this would start at the beginning of the new year, not this current epoch. It was mentioned that there might be an increase in participation drop-off if the epoch was longer, but it was noted that there is now an inactivity threshold for the Spartan Council to counteract lack of participation. The SIP was approved with all 8 votes in favor. For his second SIP, Terra argued that 3 weeks is too long for elections, especially when the majority of voting happens in the last week. This SIP calls for a simple solution of a 2-week election period instead, and was approved with all 8 votes in favor. In Grants Council updates, as we discussed last week, the SIP SCCP site is live with a WYSIWYG editor and image embedding. The council said this is the version they're sticking with for now to see what the usage is like, then they may reevaluate in a few weeks. There's also the potential to expand by allowing the ability to edit existing SIPs and SCCPs, but they have decided not to push for this right now and will instead revisit it in the future. The stats page is still being worked on, as dev Big Key is busy building a Dune Analytics dashboard from scratch with all the data for the site. CT is following up with him to check on the timeline for this. Alexander is also going to be following up with the dev Junwei about the feedback he gave him for the Loans UI project. The NFT project is slowly but surely coming together. The team will be meeting with Tyler and Mark from Universe and is working on getting a smart contract developer for the Mint contract. Jade is also working on the design for the NFT site, and the lore is being decided on this week in terms of which story the writer will pursue. Lastly, While the SUSD tip bot in Discord is fully functioning, CT has requested a small amount of SUSD in his account so he can actively tip in the Discord when community members share knowledge and contribute good content in governance discussions. He's encouraging other council members to do the same. In ambassador updates, the team hosted another Spartan Space last week, this time with Chainlink. We got to meet Roger, who is the Director of Solution Architecture at Chainlink Labs, Kamal, who is the Chief Product Officer, and Clement, who is the Product Manager for the new low-latency Oracle that they're developing. During the call, Roger covered a wide agenda, including the problem of front-running, Synthetic's need for low-latency oracles, Chainlink's unique ability to solve this problem, Chainlink's low-latency oracles, architecture, and the key benefits for Synthetics, so let's review some of that. Basically, Synthetics needs low-latency oracles to serve two main objectives: mitigating risk and ensuring security. Synthetics has made over 11 million proxy calls to price feeds, so the highest level of reliability in an oracle provider is necessary. The low-latency oracle design from Chainlink consists of a high-performance, off-chain oracle network that can be pulled on-chain by users on demand. Individual node signatures will be directly verified on-chain to increase trust minimization guarantees. A community member asked who these data providers are and how transparent they are with their feeds, and Roger explained that they select premium data providers with the broadest market coverage. They also work with them to do a lot of data analysis to make sure their aggregation methodologies meet Chainlink standards. Someone else asked when they'll be ready to ship, and Roger said they're hoping to have the system ready for testing by the end of the year. Then they're looking to be production ready by the end of January. This is a pretty aggressive timeline, but he said the Chainlink team is confident, adding that they want to get this in the hands of the Synthetic CCs as soon as possible for testing. Matt broke down the information a bit and gave his own summary of the Oracle system, saying basically each Oracle price that would have been pushed on-chain is now saved off-chain with the corresponding block number, and then once a person initiates a trade, the price is pulled from that block and deemed valid or not. Roger ended the presentation with a few key benefits for Synthetics, which are ultra low latency, front-running mitigation, and gas efficiency. And for anyone wondering, he estimates latency to be every block and gas to be about 200 to 250K. Overall, it was a great call with Chainlink, and we can't wait for the solution for super fast, low latency, off-chain oracles for Perps v2. And that's it for today's updates. Be sure to check out our weekly recap blog post, share this podcast link, and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear more about from SNXweave. Thanks for listening.